My parents looked me in the eye and told me I was rejected, but the paper in my hand said accepted. I stood in the dust, holding the proof of their betrayal, and didn't know if I should scream or vomit. Dust was choking my throat. I coughed, swinging the hammer. It was just a renovation. My father, Silas, asked me to expand the storage on the attic. He said there was dead space back there. I hit the drywall. A chunk of the wall fell away. Behind it was emptiness, darkness and old insulation. I shined my phone flashlight inside. There was something sitting there. Not construction debris. It was a metal biscuit tin. Blue, rusted around the edges. I reached in and pulled it out. It felt heavy. The lid was taped shut. Silas always taped everything shut. I sat on the floor, crossing my legs. Downstairs in the kitchen, my mom, Marnie, was clattering dishes. A normal sound, a normal Thursday. I picked at the edge of the tape with my fingernail. It was dry and snapped off. Inside were papers, bills, old receipts, some stubs. I wanted to close it back up. Thought it was just trash. But then I saw the logo. The crest of the university in Zurich. The one I wanted to go to 7 years ago. My heart skipped a beat. My hands started shaking. I remembered the day the letter was supposed to come. Or rather, when it didn't come. I ran to the mailbox every morning. Silas met me on the porch that day. He had a sad look on his face. "Nothing there, son," he said back then. They didn't even reply. It's a rejection. I cried for 2 days. I believed I was talentless, and here I was, holding this envelope. It had been opened. Someone carefully sliced it with a letter opener. My name on the front. Our home address. The date stamp, 7 years ago. I pulled the letter out. The paper was thick, expensive. I unfolded it, expecting to see a standard rejection. The words "unfortunately," or "we cannot." But the first word was "congratulations." The world around me tilted. I read it again. "We are pleased to inform you, Kieran. Full scholarship. Invitation for the fall semester." I was accepted. I was, damn it, accepted. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't a failure. Tears sprang to my eyes, but they weren't tears of joy. It was pure rage. I sat on the dusty floor for 10 minutes, staring at the dean's signature. The last 7 years flashed through my mind. I stayed in town, worked at my father's construction firm. Free assistant, driver, accountant. "We need you here, Kieran," Marnie would say. "In Europe you would have been lost," Silas said. "They stole my career. They stole my experience. They made me their property." I heard footsteps on the stairs, my father's heavy steps. "Kieran, did you fall asleep up there?" he shouted. His voice sounded annoyed, like I was a lazy employee, not his son. I quickly shoved the letter back into the tin, pushed the tin behind a stack of old magazines. I couldn't show them this right now. If I screamed now, they would twist everything. They'd say I was crazy, or invent a new lie. I needed more. I needed to understand the scale. I stood up, brushed off my knees. "Coming," I yelled. My voice sounded alien, scratchy. I stepped onto the landing, pasting on a fake smile. Dinner was torture. Marnie made meatloaf, my favorite as she liked to remind me. "You're quiet today," she noted. She was piling seconds onto my plate without asking. It always worked that way. She decided how much I ate. Silas was reading the paper, not looking up. "Is the wall done?" he grunted. "Almost," I answered. I gripped my fork so hard my fingers turned white. I looked at their faces. They looked normal, caring parents, an elderly couple loving their only son. How could they sleep at night? How could they watch me rot in an office, sorting invoices? "We need you to run papers to the bank tomorrow," Silas said. "And stop by the pharmacy for my pills," Marnie added. Fetch, carry, do. I wasn't a son. I was a resource. A convenient tool always at hand. If I had gone to Zurich, they would have had to hire people, spend money, live alone. There was the answer. It wasn't protection, it was greed. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay there listening to the house. Every creak felt like a lie. At 3 in the morning, I got up. I had to get the tin. I couldn't leave it in the attic. If Silas went to check the work, he might find it. I crept down the hallway. The wood floor was cold. I knew every floorboard that squeaked. I stepped around them instinctively, went up to the attic. It was quiet, just the wind rushing outside. I found the tin behind the magazines, took it to my room, locked the door. For the first time in years, I locked the door in my own house. I dumped the contents onto the bed. It wasn't just the university letter. There were other envelopes. From my high school friend Alex. He moved to California. I thought he forgot about me. Why aren't you answering? He wrote in 2019. Did you change your number? He wrote in 2020. They intercepted my mail. They isolated me. They cut me off from the world so I would remain only theirs. In the morning, I walked into the kitchen with the tin. I hadn't slept a wink. My eyes burned. Marnie was frying eggs. Silas was drinking coffee. I set the tin on the table. The clatter of metal on wood sounded like a gunshot. They both froze. Silas slowly lowered his mug. Marnie turned off the stove but didn't turn around. She recognized the tin. I saw her back tense up. "What is that, Kieran?" Silas asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes darted. "You tell me," I replied. I opened the lid, took out the Zurich letter, threw it in front of my father. He didn't even look at the text. He knew what was there. "You were snooping in our things," he said. "Not sorry, not we can explain. An accusation. You stole my life." I said quietly. "Don't be dramatic," Marnie snapped, turning around. She held a spatula, waving it like a weapon. "We saved you." "Saved me?" I laughed. It was a scary laugh. "I got a full scholarship. I could have been an architect." "You weren't ready," Silas shouted. He slammed his fist on the table. Coffee splashed onto the tablecloth. "You were soft. You would have broken down out there alone. We knew better." "You just wanted free labor," I said. "We gave you a roof over your head." Marnie interjected. She stepped closer, her face reddening. "We fed you, clothed you, and now you throw this in our faces?" "Because you hid the truth," I yelled. "The truth is we need you," she blurted out. Silence hung in the room. She covered her mouth with her hand. Silas looked at her with anger. She slipped up. "It wasn't about me. It was about their needs. They needed someone to fix the roof, drive the car, listen to their complaints. I wasn't a son. I was their retirement plan. And they decided my fate for me without even asking." "I'm leaving," I said. The words hung in the air. I had never said that before. Never even seriously thought about it. "Where will you go?" Silas sneered. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. His whole posture said, "You are nothing. You have no money. Your salary." "My salary?" I interrupted. "The pennies you pay me? We save it for you." He lied. I knew it was a lie. I saw the accounts. They spent it all on new cars and vacations I wasn't invited to. "I don't care," I said. "I'm taking my stuff and leaving." "You won't take a step," Silas said in an icy tone. "Or what?" I asked. "Or I'll call the police and say you stole money from the company." I froze. This was a new level. Not just manipulation, blackmail. "You wouldn't," I whispered. "Try me," he replied. There was no love in his eyes. Only the cold calculation of a businessman losing an asset. I looked at the man who taught me to ride a bike. Now he was threatening me with jail. Marnie stood by, silent. She chose his side. She always chose his side. "You have no proof," I said. "I'm the owner, Kieran. I can drop any proof." Was he bluffing? Maybe, but was I willing to risk it? I felt the kitchen walls closing in. They had me cornered, again, like back then with the letter. Only now, I knew the rules of the game. I slowly took my phone out of my pocket. "What are you doing?" Silas tensed. "Recording," I lied. I wasn't recording, but he didn't know that. "I've been recording this conversation since I walked into the kitchen." Silas's face went white. He was an old-school man. He feared technology, and he feared for his reputation. "You're bluffing," he said uncertainly. "Want to test it?" I repeated his phrase. "If you call the cops, this recording goes online. Everyone will know what kind of father you are." It was my first real strike. Silas deflated. He slumped in his chair, looking like an old man. "We did everything for the family," he muttered. That was their mantra. Everything for the family. But the family was just the two of them. I was just the help. I turned and walked toward the stairs. "If you leave, you are no son of ours." Marnie screamed at my back. That was supposed to stop me. It would have worked before. The fear of rejection, the fear of loneliness. But now I felt only relief. I stopped being your son 7 years ago, I replied without turning. When you decided to lie to me. I went up to my room, got an old duffel bag. I had few things. Clothes, a laptop, a couple of books, and the tin of letters. I didn't take anything they bought me. Not the expensive watch they gave me for my 25th, as a bribe. Not the car keys. I left them on the dresser. I walked down the stairs. The house felt alien. It was a museum of my unlived life. My parents were sitting in the kitchen. They didn't come out to see me off. They didn't try to stop me physically. They knew they had lost, but they didn't feel guilt. They felt resentment, as if I had betrayed them. I opened the front door. The morning air was cold and crisp. For the first time, it smelled like freedom, not obligation. I stepped onto the porch. Behind my back, the lock clicked. They locked it. Instantly, as if I never existed. I walked down the driveway. It was 3 miles to town. I had $40 in my pocket, and an engineering degree I never got. But I had the letter, proof that I was worth something. I made it to the bus stop, sat on the bench. My hands were still shaking, but not from anger anymore, from adrenaline. I took out my phone, called Alex, the friend from the letters. I hadn't spoken to him in 5 years. It rang for a long time. I almost hung up. Hello? A sleepy voice answered. It was early morning in California. Alex, it's Kieran, I said. Silence. Kieran? Dude, I thought you died, or joined a cult. Close enough, I chuckled. Listen, is that offer about the couch still open? He laughed, warmly and genuinely. For you, always. When are you flying in? As soon as I earn enough for a ticket, I said honestly. Forget it, I'll buy the ticket. Pay me back when you're a rich architect. I closed my eyes. One call, one friend. It was more support than I received from my parents in my entire life. I sat at the stop and looked at the letter. At the bottom was a note in small print. If you cannot accept the offer now, you may apply for reinstatement within 10 years. 10 years. It had been 7. I still had time. I hadn't lost everything. They stole time from me, yes. They stole my confidence. But they couldn't kill my potential. The bus pulled up. The driver looked at me wearily. Downtown, he asked. Yeah, I replied. I cast one last look toward my parents' house. The roof I fixed was visible behind the trees. Let it leak. Let it fall apart. Not my problem anymore. I got on the bus and paid the fare. I felt strangely light. Like I had dropped a concrete slab from my back. I'm writing this from Alex's apartment now. I sent the documents to Zurich. Yesterday the reply came. They reviewed my case. Given the family circumstances, they are ready to enroll me for the spring course. I'm 25. I'll be the oldest in the class. I have no money and I work as a barista in the evenings. But I've never been happier. My parents tried to call. Silas left a message. Come back. We'll forgive everything. They will forgive? I blocked their numbers. I don't hold a grudge. Anger requires energy, and I need my energy for my studies. That tin in the attic was the coffin of my old life, and I finally climbed out of it. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel, like it, and click on the bell so you don't miss any more stories. See you soon.